My name is Catherine McNulty, and you can call me the Grief Lady. And the reason why I'm called the Grief Lady is because I deal with all topics related to grief. And today in our video, we are going to talk about the framework that I put together, that I use in my coaching program. And it's a framework that's unlike anything else that I've seen, in terms of really being able to put a structure around the process. I very much wanted to be in control. I like to be able to put a framework around things, to be able to have terminology to think about, to understand, and to work through. So, like I said, there's 3 pillars. So let me tell you what those 3 pillars are, and then we're going to go into each pillar and we're going to talk a little bit about each to give you a sense of what my grief coaching is about, what it would be like for you should you decide to do coaching. Because my mission is no one should have to grieve alone. So I want to invite you, and I will again at the end of the video invite you to consider my grief coaching program. 3 pillars. Pillar 1 is your relationship to your grief. Pillar 2 is your relationship to yourself. And pillar 3 is your relationship with the rest of the world. For each one of those, the goal is to work through each pillar at whatever interval makes sense for you. But the goal is to get back to feeling happy, to finding joy again. We all experiencing grief is really hard, and it can knock you right off your feet, and it can make you wonder whether or not life is ever going to be the same again. And I can promise you that life will not be the same again, but that doesn't mean that it has to be all bad, that you can work through this and you can find a new way to relate to your grief, relate to yourself, relate to your life and everything that's going on, and find something new. And what happens, and what I've personally done through my own work, is really found meaning and fulfillment and purpose and joy. And I think that when we lose someone we love, we begin to look at and we ask the big questions in our lives. Why are we here? What is the point? What am I doing with my life? What is my impact in the world? Those are all really big questions. And grief is no joke. It is very, very real. And we all go through it at different times in our lives. And I believe that we all deserve to get support. So I want to encourage you to get support. 3 pillars. So let's dive into each one. The first pillar is your relationship to your grief. So many of us don't know how to handle grief. We haven't thought about it. We haven't looked at it. We haven't learned anything about it until it happens to us. And then we're left scrambling, trying to figure it all out. And nobody else wants to talk about it. So you're kind of left. Luckily now we have the internet, but there's not a lot of good content on the internet about what is this grief thing? What does it mean to me? What am I going to do? So pillar 1 is your relationship to your grief. And that is, what is grief? What is it doing to you? How is it affecting you? And what is normal as part of the process? Pillar number 2 is your relationship to yourself. Grief will change you. It's one of the things I say all of the time. Grief fundamentally will change elements of your life. Things that used to be important become far less important. Things that you used to downplay or ignore become critical. There's the moments that you're like, why haven't I noticed that before? You start to see things in your life that you haven't seen before or even noticed before. You grow as a person. You start to understand what you really value, what you want for your life, what that means. And you look at your own impact in the world, and how are you being the kind of person that you want to be? It's pillar number 2. Big stuff. It doesn't happen overnight. And then the third pillar is your relationship to the rest of the world. So grief happens to you. And the rest of the world, while you're grieving, the rest of the world continues to spin. People continue to move on. And it's very easy to feel like you've been left behind. Have you ever felt that way? I know I did. And so you start to look at the world and how do you want to interact with the world? Do you want to keep the friends that you have? Do you want to maybe make new friends? Do you, which you likely will. Some people are going to fall off. Some people are going to come in. Those kind of things change. And looking at that and uncovering that and saying, what do I want to do differently? Am I doing what I want to do? Am I being the person that I want to be? Do I have the life that I want? And it's looking at that. And in the areas where you say, well, no, not really. Okay, let's make the change. Let's figure that out. Figuring out what it is that you do want. And then figuring out how to get it. So again, big stuff. Again, I want to reiterate, this process does not happen overnight. It is a commitment. And it's something that when I think about it and when I talk about it with people, you know, I was stuck in my grief for 2 full years because I didn't know that there was another way. I was hoping that my grief would magically disappear, that I would suddenly feel better and that I'd be able to move on. But that doesn't happen if you don't do the work. So think of yourself on a path and you're looking forward on the path. And you have 2 options. There is literally a fork in the road. And these are the moments in your life that will change everything. Which path you take will decide the fate of your future. Are you going to choose to push your grief away, to avoid it, to hope that it goes away, and do the best that you can? Or are you going to look into coaching, deal with your grief, understand your relationship to your grief, your relationship to your life, and your relationship to the rest of the world? And are you going to be committed to figuring out and to finding that happiness that I know that you want? Because it's out there, it's waiting for you, and I want you to have it. I didn't know. And I feel so passionate about this because I didn't know that this was possible. And so it's my mission to let you know that this is possible. But again, see yourself on that path. Only you can choose. Only you can choose which way you want to go. So if you're interested, you can reach out to me at griefinspired@gmail.com. You can comment on this video below. You can just say, hey, contact me, interested, want to learn more. As always, the first conversation is for free. And we can work out what kind of payments work for you. I really want to be there for you. And literally, it will take for you 1 hour a week. But that 1 hour a week will launch you forward in your grief process and will get you feeling better, feeling happy, knowing joy once again. And isn't that what we all want? So again, no one should have to grieve alone. I am here to help. I want to help. And I want to invite you and ask you to let me help you.